It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, a beautiful summer wedding under twinkling lights, laughter in the air, and the soft hum of music carrying through the evening breeze. But amid all the joy and celebration, one small girl sat quietly at a table near the edge of the garden, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes distant and sad. She was the bride's daughter, Lily, and she was all alone. Then, out of nowhere, a man in a white shirt and blue slacks walked over, noticed her sitting by herself, and asked gently, "Why is she alone?" That question would change everything that night. Hey everyone, welcome back to Kindness Lights, where we share real stories that warm your heart and remind you of the power of compassion. If you believe that small acts of kindness can change lives, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Your support helps us continue spreading positivity across the world. The wedding was breathtaking. Every table was draped in white linen and decorated with roses. The bride, Emma, looked radiant in her lace gown as she greeted guests and posed for photos. Her new husband, Daniel, was a successful CEO, confident, composed, and proud of the life he'd built. To everyone watching, it looked like a perfect fairy tale wedding. But not everyone was smiling. At the far end of the reception area, 10-year-old Lily sat in her wheelchair, dressed in a cream-colored dress with a flower crown resting gently on her head. Her legs, still and lifeless since the accident 2 years earlier, were tucked neatly under her chair. Guests passed by her table, chatting and laughing, barely noticing her. Some smiled politely. Others avoided eye contact, unsure what to say. Her mother, the bride, had been caught up in the whirlwind of wedding activities, photos, speeches, dances. She loved her daughter deeply, but the day was moving so fast, and Lily had quietly faded into the background. That's when Mark walked in. Mark was a single dad in his late 30s. He wasn't part of the elite circle of guests, just a friend of the groom's cousin who had invited him last minute. He'd arrived with his 8-year-old son, Ben, who immediately ran off to play with some other kids. As Mark looked around for a seat, he noticed the little girl in the wheelchair sitting alone. She wasn't eating. She wasn't talking. She just sat there, watching others dance, her small face illuminated by the glow of string lights. Something tugged at Mark's heart. He could have easily joined the crowd, grabbed a drink, and ignored it, but something told him not to. He walked over slowly, crouched beside her, and smiled. "Hey there," he said softly. "Mind if I sit with you for a bit?" Lily looked up, surprised. "You can if you want," she said shyly. So he sat down. They started talking, small things at first. About the flowers, the music, and how fancy everything looked. She told him her name, and that she loved reading stories about brave heroes and princesses. Mark asked if she'd like some punch, and when she nodded, he carefully poured her a cup. As they talked, her face began to brighten. She smiled for the first time that evening. Then, Ben came running over and noticed his dad talking to the girl in the wheelchair. "Hi," he said cheerfully. "Wanna play?" Lily hesitated. "I can't run," she said quietly. "That's okay," Ben replied with a grin. "We can play sitting down." The two kids started a game with napkins and straws, making little towers and castles on the table. Before long, Lily was laughing, full, genuine laughter that caught the attention of a few nearby guests. Mark noticed people watching. Some whispered. Some smiled awkwardly. But he didn't care. Moments later, Emma, the bride, saw them from across the garden. Her expression softened as she realized what was happening. She set down her champagne glass and hurried over, barefoot now, holding her heels in one hand. "Lily," she gasped. "Oh sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to leave you alone." "It's okay, Mom," Lily said, smiling. "This is Mr. Mark and his son, Ben. They were keeping me company." Emma turned to Mark, her eyes glistening. "Thank you," she said quietly. You have no idea what this means. Mark just smiled. She's a great kid. I just asked why she was alone, and couldn't find a good reason. Emma's heart ached with guilt and gratitude all at once. She'd been so caught up in making everything perfect that she hadn't noticed her daughter's loneliness. Mark's simple act of kindness had reminded her what really mattered. As the evening went on, something magical happened. Lily was no longer sitting at the edge of the party, she was at the center of it. Mark and Ben helped her will out to the dance floor. The DJ played a soft song, and soon, other guests joined in, forming a circle around her. Laughter and clapping filled the night air. Even Daniel, the groom, came over and lifted Lily's wheelchair slightly so she could dance, too. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she watched her daughter glow with happiness. By the end of the night, Lily hugged Mark and Ben tightly. "Thank you for not walking past me," she whispered. Mark smiled and said, "Kindness doesn't need an invitation, kiddo. You just have to notice when someone needs it." Weeks later, Emma reached out to Mark to thank him again. They stayed in touch, and their kids became good friends. But more importantly, Emma started a foundation in Lily's name, one that helped children with disabilities feel included in community events. All because one man cared enough to ask a simple question: why is she alone? In a world that often moves too fast, kindness slows us down just enough to see what truly matters. Sometimes, it's not the grand gestures that change lives, but the small moments when someone decides to care. So next time you see someone sitting alone, don't look away. Sit beside them. Start a conversation. Offer kindness, even when no one else does. Because you never know, your simple act of compassion might be the one thing that changes someone's world forever. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still exists. This is Kindness Lights, where every story shines a little hope into the world.